So AI has not been new to the industry. It's been there for decades. But what GenAI brought in was an ability to use it for multiple other tasks that were earlier not possible. And that's what really took the leap in terms of the extensibility and usability of how AI could be consumed in the organization. How do I trust that AI that I'm bringing in? And IBM does a massive amount of extensive work on some of these aspects. So one of the pieces, Nelson, we've led with is Orchestrate as a platform comes with 163 connectors out of the box. So my ability to connect to a Ariba, to an SAP, to a Salesforce, to a Workday, to a ServiceNow, you name it and you have it. So your ability to get it off the ground practically day one, and in a very, very short period from an implementation perspective is a capability we bring onto the table.
Welcome to Mint Techcetra, your go-to podcast for everything business and technology. I'm your host, Nelson John. And today we're diving into a frontier that's reshaping the enterprise world as we know it, Agentic AI. Now, we've all heard the hype around AI, but Agentic AI? This is where things get seriously interesting. We're talking about AI systems that don't just analyze data, they act on it independently. But here's the catch. As this technology matures, the pressure on infrastructure, governance, and security is mounting. Indian enterprises are facing a pivotal moment: adapt fast or fall behind. So, how do they scale responsibly? How do they build trust into AI systems, ensure regulatory compliance, and still drive innovation at speed? To help us unpack all of this, I'm joined by someone who's right at the center of it, Mr. Siddhesh Naik, country leader for data and AI software at IBM India and South Asia. With over 24 years in IT industry, Siddhesh leads a team focused on helping enterprises harness the power of data and AI to deliver real, measurable business outcomes. We're going to explore how agentic AI is being deployed today, the challenges enterprises are facing, and what it really takes to be AI ready in 2025 and beyond. Siddhesh, welcome to Mint Techcetra.
Thank you, Nelson.
It's a pleasure to have you with us today.
Likewise.
Right. So, shall we begin, Siddhesh?
Absolutely.
Right. Let's start off with the basics. We hear this term agentic AI quite often these days. In your words, simple terms, what is agentic AI? And why is it so important to Indian businesses today?
So, Nelson, before I answer your question, let me take a step back.
Sure.
About 2 years back, we saw a big inflection point coming into AI with the advent of foundation models. Mm-hmm. You saw AI, the extensibility and the use of AI getting across the breadth of the enterprise, be it marketing, be it finance, legal. You could actually see it getting consumed across the length and the breadth of the enterprise. Some amazing use cases that were not addressed before. It took the whole AI journey to the next level. Last quarter and a half, the whole piece has been taken to the next level with the advent of agentic AI. Now, how do you define what's the difference between the regular Gen AI that we've been talking about for the last 2 years and what we're talking about now? So when you talk about the Gen AI we've been embarked on for the last 2 years, it is about information retrieval. It is about a prescriptive task that you're getting Gen AI to do for you. It is about a conversational, natural language communication that you're having between the user and the AI bot. Now, that is what I call as a deterministic AI approach, which means it's a prescriptive AI approach, a single step information retrieval, a simplistic AI approach. Now, come agentic AI, we are taking this whole piece to the next level where you're talking about a non-deterministic approach. Here, the whole approach is about a multi-step approach. It is an autonomous system that can do multiple tasks, engage with your automation systems, engage with your governance elements, and not just do that, execute on the task. It'll plan for it, it'll execute on it, reflect on, have I done it the right way, and do I meet the objectives that I had set up to go that I started off with in the first place. And all of this with the right governance runtime is a piece that you're bringing onto the table from an agentic perspective. To your question, what does it mean? Um, it means it gives you an ability to solve complex multi-step problems that you typically are trying to solve. So far, Gen AI was helping you solve single step problems. Now, this is taking the whole conversation to the next level on how do I solve multi step problems. Not just that, how do I augment this with the enterprise workflows, the automations that the enterprise already has? How do I integrate this? So, it is not about using anything in isolation. So, it is about the deterministic piece, which is the Gen AI thing that we've been doing for last 2 years, plus the agentic coming together with your automation that you have in your enterprise, working together to usher in a new era of productivity is the name of the game that we're talking about.
Right. And just to, for a bit more clarity on where the term Gen AI, so now is it an leap from the traditional AI models, or is it a natural evolution?
So the Gen AI by itself was a leap from it's not that Gen AI was as is absolutely new. It's been around,
Right.
but the advent of some of these foundation models about 2 years back brought in a lot of technologies that improved the accuracy levels that these models could bring onto the table. The other aspect that it brought onto the table is your ability, the extensibility across the breadth of the organization. Typically, machine learning models have been around for decades. So AI has not been new to the industry, it's been there for decades. But what Gen AI brought in was an ability to use it for multiple other tasks that were earlier not possible. And that's what really took the leap in terms of the extensibility and usability of how AI could be consumed in the organization.
So it's not a case of a chatbot getting a promotion.
No, it's absolutely not a case of, and that is where the governance piece comes in, and how do you control it within the guardrails that you need to keep it within.
Right, right. So moving on, I mean, every business wants results. Uh, what are some of the real high impact AI use cases that you see in India today when you look at sectors like, manufacturing and banking?
So from a let me give you a classic example, and we started this journey with the whole Gen AI journey. What we realized is in a lot of the BFSI industry, be it insurance, be it banking, data capture is one of the key elements, and there is a technology called OCR, and there are multiple of these high hyperscalers who do the OCR piece to do the image capture, the data capture. Uh, the fundamental challenge in this technology was that um, any resolution below a certain resolution, anything below 300 dpi, your accuracy started coming crashing down. We stepped in with a solution which Gen AI could solve. How do I do an image enhancement? How do I do an entity extraction? And even an 80 dpi, which is like a very very hazy scan, which you will struggle to read with your naked eye as well, right? And we started doing that and getting to 93-95% accuracy for a lot of these insurance companies. And we realized a lot of the problem in which was being termed as a underwriting workload was actually an incorrect data capture. And how do I go fix that is a journey we started. Come Agentic AI, we thought we will take this whole conversation to the next level, not just for BFSI, but we said we'll take it to the other industries as well. So this is a large conglomerate for whom we started. We started off with how do I put up a intelligent sourcing platform or an intelligent invoice validation platform. So this is a conglomerate that validates almost 1,800 to 2,000 invoices on a daily basis. So we put in a agentic story which not only does the image enhancement and entity extraction, takes an invoice, and mind you, these are invoices of different formats because you have multiple of these vendors, hundreds of vendors who are coming in each with a different format of the invoice. So how do I do an image enhancement and entity extraction, key it into the systems of record? Not just do that, but now I have invoice which needs to be compared with the PO, the invoice value to the PO value, the items of the invoice to the items on the PO value. The client then came in saying, look, I want to take this to next level. I have a physical invert that happens in the organization, which is what you call as your goods received note. How do I compare it with the goods received note? So that is where the whole agentic story started coming in. They then wanted to compare the LD clause Is an LD clause applicable? Has the vendor delivered on time? So those aspects started coming in. They wanted us to then bring in a warranty clause that comes in. So there were multiple elements where an agentic AI played an absolute perfect fit for you to look at multiple dimensions, have it validated, and do a invoice validation. We now do almost 1,800 invoices that are validated on a daily basis. And this is a classic example of how agentic AI has got into action in a day-to-day pain point that you're able to address for a large conglomerate.
Right. So you mentioned large conglomerates, like, are being at it. What about, mid-sized and smaller players? Do they also, jump into
No,
this?
absolutely they do. Absolutely they do. And
Mhm.
and the piece that started happening with some of these small mid-sized businesses is they are taking the leap into agentic. They've skipped the earlier steps and they're taking the leap directly into agentic, and that is helping them solve a lot of things. The whole 9 yards that they would have required to go through is something they're skipping, and they're beautifully able to do it. One of the classic examples around this is people using it for HR. A lot of these startups who've started embracing agentic AI for HR, right from hire to retire, the entire aspect of how do I use agentic to do HR, right from updating my leave, let's say in SuccessFactor or Workday, to how do I go figure out what is my policy for a particular thing. Go figure out based on my eligibility what policy applies for me and how do I work through it. The whole promotion cycles that go in, Nelson, right from, so today most of these software companies want to have a linkage to your credits and your badges. Have you done the right certifications before even you get eligible for a promotion? So how do I get that whole framework done using agentic is a piece that started coming in. So a whole lot of things that have started building up. There is a classical thing of agentic being used for software development, right from building blocks of Java, Quarkus, Spring Boot, to testing it in one breath. We've been doing this with a lot of startups on testing the whole software. So right from creating a business requirements document to generating test codes that could do 95% functional testing is a capability we've started bringing onto the table. So yeah, absolutely, there are a ton of examples, and India is known for taking the leap, and it's rightfully taking that too early in the days, but it's rightfully taking that leap to embrace agentic.
Right. Like everybody wants a piece of the action agentic AI. So what happens that because of that, there's a lot of players, they start off small, like, scattered AI projects and all that. How do they move from these one-off experiments to a more streamlined, connected, company-wide AI approach?
So Nelson, you've hit the bullseye. When we started off about 2 years back, we were about doing POCs for a wow factor. I think all enterprises have started moving beyond that. The fundamental step in making sure AI works for you, AI is able to scale for you, is out about how do I align it to my strategy. It's not about align it to my POC, but align it to my strategy. That wow factor means nothing if it can't integrate into your workflow. So the starting point is how does it align to my strategy. The other aspect is about the change management within the organization. Is my organizational strategy, is my organization top down aligned to what I'm trying to drive? Because however much of AI you bring in, if your organization doesn't adopt it, it doesn't become an integral part of your day-to-day operations, it means nothing, right? So that becomes a very, very critical step. The next thing that I would say is the biggest hurdle from scaling AI is the governance part of it. How do I trust that AI that I'm bringing in? And IBM does a massive amount of extensive work on some of these aspects. When I talk of AI governance, we talk about it broadly around 3 areas, Nelson. The first one is around risk. How do I prevent bias, gender bias, caste bias, regional bias? How do I provide explainability? It cannot be an AI box that just is a black box and response is a response kind of a piece. So it's got to have explainability. You start with something, your data sets keep changing, so your model drifts. How do I, as a platform, measure that and make sure it doesn't drift? So those are aspects. as the LLMs come in, the foundation models come in, and the agentic comes in, how do I prevent hallucination? Now, hallucination in this context is not about a consumer hallucination, but it's an hallucination which is about enterprise data set. So IBM has perfected this in terms of how do I put the guardrails. If your response of the AI tool is outside of the enterprise content, and you define thresholds as you would want, you can have very stringent thresholds, you can have lenient thresholds depending on the use case. How do I anything outside of the enterprise content is what you call as hallucination. So how do I ensure it's within the enterprise framework that you're talking about? How do I prevent profanity? How do I prevent hate profile? How do I prevent PI information from getting consumed or even exposed to the outer world? So those are multiple aspects that you talk about from a risk profile. Then comes the compliance pillar. There are a lot of statutory requirements that are coming in. There is globally, there is the European Union AI Act, which is in there. There is a India Mighty AI Act, which is on the anvil. There is an RBI guideline. There is an IRDA guideline on how Gen AI and Agentic AI gets consumed. How do I have a platform-based approach? You can't have the data scientist worrying about, am I complying to this Mighty Act? How do I have a systemic approach of adhering to all of those clauses that you have on those regulatory requirements? So that becomes your compliance pillar. The third pillar is around the whole process governance. RBI coming in, so you run credit risk, you run 300 models for credit risk. RBI coming in and picking in one of those 300 models, and your ability to demonstrate that governance has been adhered to, bias has been kept in check, explainability has been kept. How do I do that as a process governance? How do I do the lifecycle management, the ML ops, the LLM ops is a capability that you bring onto the table. So that is a very, very important pillar. Another important pillar that comes in, Nelson, on top of that is the AI security. With this whole explosion of AI happening, there is as much of cyber threat that's coming in. How do I ensure, how do I prevent prompt injection? How do I prevent jailbreaks? How do I protect the vector database? All of those aspects now come in as well. So I think that is the next pillar that you're talking about. The other aspect I would say that's critical as people plan and strategize to scale AI is about planning it to be hybrid. Today the world has become completely hybrid. You're on premise, you're on multiple hyperscalers. How do I have an AI platform and a governance platform that cuts across these multiple silos? And that is what becomes very, very critical. So I would say these are the broad areas which are critical for any enterprise to take AI to the next level.
And so you saying, now you mentioned all of these governance, compliance, all that. So you're saying this is all packaged, encapsulated in the Watsonx enterprise that you.
That's true.
So and you intend to use the Watsonx on all these.
Yeah, that's right. There are multiple flavors of Watsonx. There is what you call as Watsonx.governance. The whole intent of a platform like Watsonx.governance is to help clients embrace agentic AI on a very, very large scale. And one of the aspects that I spoke about earlier is it's a platform that lets you do both the deterministic and the non-deterministic together, which means your regular NLP-based conversational AI and your agentic AI both together. You're not going to paint the town red saying, I will do agentic for anything and everything. It is very compute heavy. It needs a lot more governance, the agentic piece. So you're going to bring in agentic only where it makes sense, and it's going to give you that added advantage in terms of business outcomes. So how do I have a platform that does both? The second piece that comes in is how do I have a platform that does hybrid? The piece that we just spoke about. So Orchestrate lets you do that hybrid. It lets you have multiple agents, both from IBM, non-IBM, domain agents, have a multi-agent orchestration across all of these, and ability to integrate it with the automation workflows so that it becomes integral to your system. All of this is brilliant, provided your time to value is something that you're able to adhere to, because if it takes 18 months, 24 months, it probably means nothing. There is something new that's come up in that time period by the time you try to do this. So how do I have time to value, and how do I have deep enterprise integration? So one of the pieces, Nelson, we've led with is Orchestrate as a platform comes with 163 connectors out of the box. So my ability to connect to a Ariba, to an SAP, to a Salesforce, to a Workday, to a ServiceNow, you name it and you have it. So your ability to get it off the ground practically day one, and in a very, very short period from an implementation perspective is a capability we bring onto the table. And all of this with governance and management at scale. I think these are the pieces we've been leading with the enterprises.
All right. So moving on, we've all aware of IBM's innovations in the field of AI and agentic AI and all of that. But the question arises: how are you actually helping your clients build and deploy these smart agents in the real world? So what could you share with us some examples, like how?
So Nelson, multiple of such examples. So let me get to a banking example, right? Nelson is traveling abroad next week, and you go onto your mobile app and say, I'm traveling to Europe, change my international limits. It'll say, go back to your internet banking. It's a broken journey. Go back to your internet banking, reset your limits. Can I have an agentic AI with all the multi-factor authentication that is required, which can trigger and within that chatbot change your international limits? And not just do that, you're traveling, let's say, to Europe. You need a forex that needs to come in. You need travel insurance that needs to come in. So all of this comes in. Not just that, you have ecosystem offers. There are hotel offers or some tourist places that will come in. So how do I have the cross-sell and upsell that comes in? And how does agentic come and play a role in an autonomous way, deciding on bringing in all the cross-sell, upsell, so that you have not only have a seamless journey, but have an experience which gives you a complete holistic experience. This is a classic example of how, I would say early days, but how we are trying to lead with agentic in a banking kind of scenario. It's like calling it the future of banking, and the future is now.
Right. For the benefit of our viewers, tech personnels and business leaders and decision makers, if they would want to bring agentic AI into their enterprise, what is the one big advice you would give them so they start on the right note?
So the big advice I would give them is start with a strategy, and figure out how does AI fit in to solve a pain point that you have in business, or solve an opportunity that it can help you address. It starts with that. The next critical aspect is the change management, the people aspect that's very critical. Most of these AI projects that we've seen as a wow factor haven't gone beyond that wow factor because the people aspect was not as addressed. The change management, the whole operations change that an AI would bring in is not addressed, and that is where most projects fail. The next aspect, I would say, the third most important is about being paranoid about the guardrails and the AI governance that you need to bring in. I think these are the three critical ones. If you take care of those, you're good to scale AI in your enterprise.
That's right. So do you think there'll come a time where agentic AI is going to be as common as CRMs and ERPs in business stacks?
Maybe in the near future. In fact, one of the pieces that we've seen very, very rapidly happening is the Gen AI and the Agentic AI replacing some of the BI tools, because my ability to have a simple English command and go execute and give me all the dashboards that I need on the fly, I do not need these BI tools anymore. So it is evolving, and we'll see it go disrupt a lot of things over the next few years, disrupt a lot of large players on tech, and disrupt a lot of software technologies as it takes it. Too early today, but for sure in the next 2 to 3 years.
Right. So well, that brings us to the end of this episode where we spoke about agentic AI and the possibilities that it holds for the future. Thank you, Siddhesh, so much for joining us today on Mint Techcetra. It was a pleasure having you with us today.
Hey, thank you, Nelson. Lovely talking to you.
Pleasure's mine. If today's conversation made one thing clear, this is it. Agentic AI isn't just a technological leap. It's a strategic shift. It's about how businesses choose to lead, adapt, and create value in an increasingly intelligent world. And the lines between tech and business continue to blur, The choice we make around AI will define not just performance, but purpose. If you found this conversation valuable, make sure to follow Mint Techcetra on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. We've got plenty deep dives, bold ideas, and brilliant minds coming your way. Until next time, stay curious, stay ahead, and stay safe. I'm Nelson John, and this is Mint Techcetra.